Hey, welcome back to the show. It's Anna Gibbs, and I'm excited because I have my friend and guest with me today, Lori Pine. Lori is a leadership coach. She is a keynote speaker and the founder of the Joy CEO, where she guides ambitious, high-achieving women to recapture joy, purpose, and alignment in their life and their work. And her signature message centers on the idea that success on paper doesn't always translate to fulfillment. And women can find their soul deep joy without sacrificing professional ambition. So I'm excited to dig into this. I know that many of you are going to feel inspired and blessed by this conversation. Welcome, Lori, to the show. Thank you for spending some time with me today.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Lori, I know there's so many things I'd like to get into, but I know that you have well over 25 years of corporate experience and you've done all the things.
Yes.
And now you are helping other women really connect with this sense of fulfillment. What inspired all of that? And that's a big shift. I think a lot of women listening to this are probably thinking, wow, 25 plus years corporate, and then you start your own business. That in itself is exciting, but a big shift. So just talk to us a little bit about your journey from corporate to coaching and consulting now.
Yeah. So I think, like many of us, we were going about our lives and had direction and ambitions and goals and dreams. And then the pandemic happened. All of that got kind of turned upside down. And that was certainly the case for me. I was always striving to climb the corporate ladder. I did, got to the VP level, running $1 billion business for a large consumer products goods company, managing a great team. And then COVID happened and kind of everything just kind of broke apart.
Yeah.
And the job that I was doing just shifted into something very unknown, very different, because my team called on some of the largest supermarkets across the US. And so we became inundated and so
Yeah.
busy, and we couldn't keep up with the supply. And so I was no longer traveling, we were
Right.
grounded, but I was home in this house, in this office, working nonstop, trying to keep up. And I had some really young team members with really tiny babies at home
Mhm.
who were trying to care for children, trying to care for, these young families and work. And it was really like a humanitarian crisis.
Absolutely. I totally relate. That's actually how this podcast started, was
Yes.
during that time because I was having so many conversations with my team, with other people that were in my circle, other professionals reaching out, and people that just wanted even 15 minutes to get on a Zoom in the morning just to set their mindset right. So that's really how this whole podcast started. It was a humanitarian crisis. We had never seen or experienced anything. We had no reference material.
No, none, zero. And so I found myself working more than I'd ever worked during that
Yes.
time. And so little did I know, there was a humanitarian crisis happening right inside my house.
Hmm.
And I wasn't paying attention to it because I was so busy working on the business, being a vice president, being all things to the people at work.
Hmm. And
And
suddenly
what,
it was even easier to put in a 12-hour day because you didn't have to
oh,
commute.
I didn't have to go anywhere.
Yes, I
So
know. I know.
so I was just like workaholic right
Hmm.
here at this little laptop nonstop. And what would end up happening is my oldest son would graduate in 2020, miss all of that senior year
Hmm.
stuff, go away to college that fall, and come back later that fall of 2020 for Thanksgiving. And he walked by my office one afternoon and was like, "Mom, what are you doing? We saw you more when you traveled every week. And you're
Oh,
like,
wow. Yeah, that's
like
sobering, huh?
you're like right here in the house." And it was like, oh, one of those like heart daggers, that only your 18-year-old son can deliver to you.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I got up, I walked away from my desk, I started to look around, and my youngest was supposed to be at school doing all the things. And I got into his online grades, and little did I know he was flunking everything.
Mm.
And we had moved him from a really large public high school to a small private school right before COVID started. And he was just struggling to make
Yeah.
friends, to acclimate. He wasn't turning in any homework. So long, very long story, abbreviated. I ended up resigning and became a stay-at-home mom when he was 17.
How difficult was that decision for you?
Gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It was,
And thank you for being honest too, because I think that's another challenge for us as women because we want to be the leader, the CEO. Our career is important to us. We've gotten to all these levels of success, and our family is extremely important to us. And as a mom, all you want is for your children to be happy. And when
yes,
those two worlds start being in conflict in a way that you haven't navigated before, that's it had to have been hard.
horribly hard. And there was a very big part of me that wanted to believe I could have both,
Sure.
that I could keep going down the track I was going, that I'd worked so hard for, and that he could get better, that I could just keep on keeping on. But I intuitively knew inside of me that was not possible, that this was going to require something more of me.
Mm-hmm.
And while I wanted to ignore that, while it would have been so much easier to ignore that, I just had this knowing that I couldn't ignore. And so I asked the universe for a sign. I asked that the sign be so obvious that it was like a 2x4 hitting me in the head. I
I
got
only
that.
laugh because I do the same thing.
You're right. I got that sign. It was like, oh man, that hurt.
Hmm.
Got the sign, and that was it. I didn't look back. And so I would leave my corporate job in April of 2021. As I'm leaving, I hired an executive coach to kind of help me with what's next for me.
That was
Here,
very insightful.
I needed to because I did not know how to be a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
I didn't know how to be present, if I'm really honest, to sit down and be present, no
Mhm.
cell phone, no laptop, no, just be. I didn't know how to do that. And so I really had a lot to learn. And I had to really think about like what was going to be next for me
Yeah.
and what
When
did
you
I.
look back on that time now, what did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I equated my productivity to my self-worth,
Hmm.
and that I very much defined who I was by what I accomplished.
Yeah.
And I needed to undo that.
Someone right now is exhaling, like listening to that, really,
Yeah.
because, you're not alone, certainly.
No,
And I think we've all been there.
no. In fact, I just led a workshop yesterday for a group of about 250 people, a corporate workshop on this exact topic,
Hmm.
the productivity trap,
Hmm.
how we are trapped by our productivity and we love checklists and to-do lists. And oh my gosh, look at how much I got done
Yeah.
today. And oh my gosh, I feel so good.
Yeah. And we're just busy. We're
But
just
it
busy.
is a trap.
Yeah.
It is a trap for me to feel good about myself when at the end of the day, I'm probably not even focusing on the right things, on the things that really are going to matter to the core joy of my life.
Would you say that's one of the biggest things you help your clients really connect to?
Yeah.
So I'm going to just shift slightly into where you are today, and I'm sure we
Yeah.
can, go back and fill in more gaps though. But you are a coach and a speaker, and you have founded this concept around the Joy CEO. So let's talk about that because that word is powerful for you and really what it's more than a brand. So talk about that.
Yeah. So there was a time when I was a young single mother walking through the hallowed halls of some of the biggest brands in the world. And I was so alone and isolated and unsure of myself. And yet I put on this front of a confident, empowered, young, successful woman because I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know who to tell the truth to.
But you felt like you had to, right?
Exactly. I felt like I was in such survival mode all the time. And that if anybody knew what was really happening in my life, this ex-husband, that the mess that I was in, that I might lose my job, or even
Mm-hmm.
worse, that you might think horribly of me. And so I know that there are women right now walking in those same shoes with those same feelings. And so I really set out to build a brand and a company where nobody has to suffer in silence, where I've built a community of women today where you can come in exactly as you are and be accepted
Mm-hmm.
and share.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of the Joy CEO is one, joy lives within you.
Mm.
It's within you. It's not this external thing you need to go searching for. It's already within you. And the CEO is that you're the CEO of your own life.
Yes.
So you get to be your own joy CEO. And I'm just going to demonstrate for you how to put that into play. And so imagine if we had a community, a county, a state, a world of joy CEOs. Imagine the ripple effect that would
Yes.
take place.
Yeah, and I love that you acknowledge it starts with us, and
Yes.
it's an inside job.
It
You
is an
know, and
inside
it's an
job.
inside job, and I think that for a lot of us, we're searching for that thing, that moment, that job, that achievement that is going to suddenly show up and say to us, "Oh my gosh, now you get to be happy." And it works in reverse. And I think it works in the sense of as I find my joy, as I choose my happiness, I am positioning myself for more success. And those things then start showing up.
That's right. That's right. If I'm happy now with what I have today, people are attracted to that.
Yes.
And so opportunities come to me
Yes. We start
because
vibrating it off, right?
that's exactly right. But if I am sitting miserable, jealous, resentful, saying, oh, I want that. Why does she have that and I don't have that?
Mm,
People aren't going to line up to hand opportunities to you
no,
or to me. They're just
no.
not.
No,
They're going to be
you
like,
have to find it. You have to
they're
build
like,
it. I mean,
uh,
that's been true for me in my entire life.
me
And,
too.
sometimes when you can't find the open door, you just got to knock through the wall.
Exactly.
But that comes at a price too after a while. That comes back to what you were talking about with the burnout and
Mhm.
feeling exhausted because, that's part of the cycle. I think we, as high achievers, especially as women, we are constantly looking for ways to give, contribute, show up, lead, nurture, collaborate, strategize. And we aren't afraid to sometimes blow a hole in the wall and say, here I am. But then we also have to take the time to restore, and we have to take the time to reconnect with what is fulfilling and what is joyful. And I'm sure there's someone listening right now too who's saying, I want a little bit of that. So if this is a very maybe foreign concept even, how does someone start to define what is fulfilling and what is joy? Like what does joy mean for me personally?
Yeah. So it definitely starts with you personally. And I use this very simple framework. So imagine you have a hula hoop at your feet and you stand in the hula hoop. We only control what's inside the hula hoop,
Mm,
which is us. We only control us.
mm,
Yet we want to control everything outside of the hula hoop. We do. We want to control our kids and our husbands and our boss. We want to control the weather and the politics and the everything going on within the groups that we are part of. But we don't. We only control us, what's inside the hula hoop, our attitudes, our energy, our perspectives, our mindsets. And yet, we don't give any time to that throughout the day.
yes.
We wake up, our feet hit the floor, and we are like a bull in a china shop,
Mm-hmm. And we're
making our
reacting to everything happening around us.
making our way throughout the day. Not only are we reacting to everything, but our focus is on everything outside of the hula hoop all day. How can I manage that? How can I manipulate that? How can I control that? How can I get everybody outside of the hula hoop to behave in a way so that I'm comfortable, so
Mm,
that I'm okay, so that I'm not afraid? And the truth is, we can't. We literally can't. I now have grown children. They're 22 and 24. They're literally not going to do what I want anymore. They're not.
I
They're just
get
not.
it.
They're going to do what they want to do. And as they should,
Yeah.
they're living their own lives. So, what needs to change? My expectations,
Yes. Yeah.
my thoughts about how they should live their life. Because
Mhm.
what do I even know? I
Right.
don't. And so that's where real joy can start to come in, is when we make those shifts and we choose to mind our own business,
Mm.
when we choose to put the focus back on our own life instead of obsessing about what somebody else is doing, and say, what am I doing? What am I doing to fulfill my own dreams,
Yeah.
my own purpose? And when we do that, all that's going on with them over there, well, it kind of disappears. It's not as important because we're going to live and let live.
Yeah. And the other thing that I just thought about that I appreciate so much about what you're saying is I have been on my own personal development journey for almost 30 years now. And I've had people say to me, "Are you always this positive? Are you always this happy?" No, not always. I'm human like everyone else, but it is a choice. But what people need to understand, and what I hear you saying through what you're saying, is that you're not just teaching people or saying to people, "Okay, just be happy,
No,
just find joy." What you're saying is there's a framework and there's a process of other things that might have to come first. And I'm hearing things like there has to be this clarity around what works for you and what doesn't work for you, right? And boundaries and understanding a little bit more about what feels fulfilling versus what might feel depleting. Because there are some things that I think sometimes have to be felt or connected to before you can even get to the joy. Would you agree with that?
absolutely. Self-awareness is one of the
Hmm.
most critical parts of all of this.
Definitely.
So many of the women I work with don't even know themselves.
Hmm.
Let me give you an example.
Hmm.
One woman, highly, highly successful, runs her own company, multi seven figures. And she came to me and she goes, I just don't understand. I wanted to get to the, 8-figure mark. I did. I wanted the certain house. I got it. I wanted this, that, the other thing. I'm not happy. And the truth is, all of those things, all of those markers are never going to make us happy. Why? Because they're fleeting.
Yeah.
They hold no contentment,
Mm.
no substance. And so, unless we start to become self aware about what it is that we actually value, what it is that actually matters to us, what's our part, like what's on our side of the street of kind of messing things up in our own life,
Yeah, I always say, where's my DNA in that? Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
What's on my side of the street? Where's the litter that I'm throwing down on the ground? We can't clean it up
Hmm.
because we're just going to keep pointing the finger.
Totally.
You. And, I had this friend once who's like, when I get into the he's doing this, he's doing that, he's really a jerk. She's like, that's when I'm in trouble. And it's true. Because then it's really like, one finger pointing there, but four
Or
pointing
four
back.
back at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
So we're talking about taking responsibility or having some level of
That's
accountability. And look, in that too, I think it's important to say this is not about always having all the answers all the time. It's not about the
no.
strive for, perfectionism or checking the boxes of all the achievements. And while all those things are great, and if you want, if you have big goals for your business, go for it. If you want that certain house, have it, right? But I think it's also, like you said, what else is going to make you feel the significance of what you're doing? And really, how do you want to feel every day? What is the legacy you want to leave? And I just want to talk a minute about your path for, and this is certainly not to inspire anyone to quit their job. The movement from corporate to what you're doing now, it's a different environment, yes, because
Yeah.
I worked
Yes.
in both of those and have in both of those playing fields, and it is a little bit different. What's the biggest difference that you've noticed in yourself or maybe in your own leadership having left corporate and now moving into being an entrepreneur who is helping other people, other women specifically, who are probably entrepreneurs and or in corporate jobs, what is the biggest shift that you've noticed?
In this entrepreneurial world, it is very lonely. Like
Mm.
I could sit in this office and probably die and nobody would find me for weeks unless, God bless my husband. But
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, so I have to be very intentional about outreach,
Yeah.
about being part of communities, being surrounded by women who have done what I want to do, what I aspire to do, women who you know, are smarter than me, ahead of me, so that I know what is possible in this world, right?
Hmm.
Like I did that in corporate. I was around smart, ambitious, trailblazing women. And those women are still wonderful and still in my life. But in this entrepreneurial world, it would be really easy to just talk myself out of it.
Mm. So
It would be
honest.
it would be really easy to just quit. And I had a moment when I said to my husband, second to parenting, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. This is so hard.
It's almost very similar to parenting. I've said
Yes,
that for years. You give birth to a concept or an idea,
yes.
right? And you got to carry it and nurture it.
And almost like the naivete. Like if I'd have known it was going to be this hard, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Kind of like having kids. Like if I'd have known it was going to be like this,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
God, thank God I didn't know because I
Yeah.
love
I think building and growing and running a business is no picnic. It's no walk in the park.
no picnic. And so I had this moment when I said to him, I feel like I'm planting all these seeds in the garden and there's no flowers growing.
Mm.
And this was a very, very pivotal moment. So if anybody is in this spot, I want you to really hear this story because it really hit me and it really changed for me. And he said, "Babe, you're not a garden. You're a bamboo tree." And I was like, "Wait, what? I don't even know how a bamboo tree grows." And he said, "Well, the farmer puts it in the ground and then he forgets because it takes so long for the roots to form. And it's like 3 to 5 years before the bamboo tree shoots through the ground. But once it does, it grows like wildfire. And then there's bamboo tree everywhere." He said,
Oh,
"That's what's going to happen with you.
what a
It's take,
great guy.
yeah, I know, isn't Michael Pine the best?"
Yes,
So
he is.
he said, it's going to take a while for you to break through.
Hmm.
But once you do, don't you worry. You're going to catch on like wildfire.
What did that mean to you in that moment?
It meant, Lori, build the foundation,
Right.
build strong roots, do what you know to do in the right way, build the brand, build your values. Don't just take clients just to take money,
Hmm.
but build out your concept so that when you do have clients, there's an exchange that is a value exchange.
Oh, I
And
love that.
people really benefit from being in relationship with you.
100%.
And so I did like I soaked that in. And wouldn't you know it, 2025 was just like a breakthrough year for me. And
The bamboo is all over. It's
I
shooting
think the
out.
bamboo tree is well on its way.
You talked about the decision to leave your job was challenging and difficult, and you shared the motivation for it and that you hired an executive coach. When did you know that you wanted to get into coaching yourself? Because I feel like when you made the decision to leave your job, it wasn't because you were going to go start this business. That
Oh
came
yeah.
after, right? So
Yeah.
was there a moment or when did you know this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, no, it came much later. In fact, the coach that I hired, like I first said, I'm pretty sure I don't want to go back to a corporate job. Then I started to evaluate what things were important to me. And at that stage of my life, it was really like financial freedom, geographic freedom, and time freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted those three things. I was becoming an empty nester. Both my boys were in college. I wanted to be able to spend time with them, go see them. My husband runs his own company. I didn't want to be limited to 4 weeks a year vacation. So all of that was kind of playing in. And so then I was like, okay, well, based on those values, what? And so this coach I was working with took me through some purpose work, some legacy work, and some dreams work. I had never done any sort of work like that because I was just too busy surviving, just too busy keeping a roof over our head. And so that really changed things for me to do that sort of work. And out of that came this exercise, which I really try to take all of my clients through, is what's the thread?
Hmm.
From all the way back to how you play as a child, to maybe the internship you did in college, to the way you led and showed up in your corporate life, your adult work life, that really is a theme for you. Like your DNA showing up. Well, for me, I was very much always a mentor. I always started mentoring programs at every company I worked for. I had been a coach. I played sports all the way through high school and college. We had been like award-winning teams. And then I coached a high school team for a year because I loved it that much. And so I always brought all of that team and collaboration into my leadership style. And so all of this became uncovered. And, I really didn't know much about coaching. I'd never had a coach until this woman. And I just said to her, I said, I think I can do what you're doing. And she's like, oh, hell yes, you can.
I love it.
And then it was just kind of born. And so
I
I
love it.
I went to Rutgers, got a certification in executive coaching for
Mhm.
leadership performance, and then I put a shingle out. And then the hard work began.
And did you know from the onset that you wanted to work with only women?
I had a feeling that it was really women that I could impact because when I did some work around the word impact,
Hmm.
I felt like I would have a greater ability to impact women. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, if I may, personally, I agree with that for myself too.
Yeah.
It wasn't always clear, or for me, I've been a professional coach now for 15 years. I had to fight that thought that I was limiting myself somehow. But I think when you get really clear about who you are here to help, you
Yeah.
can do so much more when
Yeah.
you connect with, that person. Or for me, helping women is very, very meaningful because I think we just need more of that. We need more women to support each other, to see each other, encourage each other, help each other. And I think that there's something very powerful. Talk about community, right? There's something that we can do for each other that no one else really can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. As I've built out this brand, I have gotten some DMs and some emails from some of my former male colleagues saying, hey, just so you know, I'm watching everything you're doing. It resonates with me.
Absolutely.
And I was like, men need joy too.
Yes,
I am not,
absolutely. I'm so glad you said that because I don't want anyone to mistake what I meant by
yes,
what I said. You know, of course,
of
anything that
course.
we teach or that we've learned that we're sharing could help anyone. And we want that support and we want that understanding from our male partners and colleagues and counterparts because, and I love that they see us and they see also themselves in what we're talking about,
Yes,
which is everything right there,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
And that they can raise their hand and say, hey, I need some joy too. Yeah,
oh, who doesn't need some joy?
exactly.
Honestly, especially look, the world that we're living in is getting just, it's moving very quickly. I mean, maybe it always has. I don't know. Like, I find myself saying this and then I want to edit myself because I sit back and I say, hasn't the world always been very complicated and it hasn't always been moving fast? But there are some things about the world we're in today where your message and your teachings are so impactful because I just had a coaching session with a client this morning before we started recording, and it's a guy. He's been working with me for 3 years, so there you go. And he's been struggling with really trying to put the blinders on and not let all of the news and all of the things happening around him affect his business. And he's finally at a point now where he's seeing the value in just focusing on what we can control. Back to your hula hoop story and really understanding how he was just giving away his own peace.
Yes.
Did that come up in conversations with people when you're coaching and teaching?
All the time,
Yeah.
which is why I have submitted a trademark for this whole hula hoop theory. It is
Oh, good for you.
that
I love it.
Right. It's that powerful. It's so simple, but it is that powerful. When
Yeah.
you can just say, what is in my hula hoop? And is this in it? And it is not. The news is not in our hula hoop. So
Right.
guess what is? Your power to shut it off,
Yes.
to turn it down, to limit yourself to 20 minutes a day. I don't know, like whatever's going to work for you.
What would you say is one mindset shift that someone could make that would help them get back in alignment? Because that's really what this is we get ourselves so far out of alignment with our own, whether we call it self-awareness. But what's one thing for someone who's listening right now that they could really take with them today? What's something that they could do to just sort of get back in alignment?
I am going to be true to myself
Mm,
with this action. If we take the news, for example, somebody may be saying, I'm going to be uninformed. Therefore, I need to listen to the news. But how informed do you need to be? I mean, do you need to be informed 20 hours a day?
no,
No, because
no.
I've been through so many media trainings.
Hmm.
The media is trained to basically fearmonger, right?
Absolutely. And
They
if
are
anyone
waiting.
still believes otherwise,
No, no,
it's
I
not
mean,
the journalism of 100 years
well,
ago.
in the training I was in, they wait for you to pause. They specifically wait for a pause because in the pause, they know that then you are going to start talking and saying things that you shouldn't be saying. So there is so much of that going on.
Hmm.
And then in the news, like they'll turn up the volume if you're watching it like on the TV because they want you to hear it.
Tune it in. Yeah.
Yes, they want you to tune in.
And
They
to your point too, I think it's a decision. You can be informed,
yes,
but you have to choose how to respond.
yes.
That's the difference. Like, I don't watch the news anymore. I turned it off back, I think it was May of 2020.
Me
I
too.
just,
COVID. I
yeah,
couldn't do it.
really, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I don't feel I'm uninformed.
me
I
either.
feel like I read what I need to read. I have conversations. I take in what I want. I take in what I think is relevant and I process it. But it's really about how we respond. If you allow that news to, where you're ruminating in it and you're focusing on all the things that are not in your control, you're giving away your power and you're losing the opportunity to build whatever it is that's important to you, your career, your family, your business, your community.
Exactly. What I tell people is keep it right sized. Keep it right sized.
Hmm.
What is right sized for you in your life? For me in my life, it is very small. I feel informed. I read what I need to read, and then I move on. I
Yeah.
really don't talk about it. It doesn't come up in conversations for me because I don't want it to. I want to talk about other things. Like when you and I met for lunch, I wanted to talk about you, your life, your business, things that are bringing you joy, how I can help you. That's what I want to talk about.
And I felt that. I felt that. I think that that's something else for us to just keep in mind around self-awareness. How present are we being?
Yeah.
How connected are we in any conversation? Because, sometimes you're talking to someone and they're like, okay, and they're still on their phone. And really, for all of us to just say, am I making the connection? Am I seeing that person? Am I listening to that person? Just a simple question. What can I do to help you today?
Yeah. How
Could
can I?
change their whole world on that day.
I believe, I firmly believe this. We are one person away from our whole life changing.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, do you look back now and see some of those relationships? Like you think back, you said you're still in touch with
Absolutely.
some people, you know,
Absolutely.
that we've all had mentors in our life. And the
Absolutely.
beautiful thing is when you become the mentor to someone else.
Yes.
That's
No,
how I look at coaching too, right? You said it before, we're mentoring people as well.
yes. I mean, I got my first job, my very first job, because somebody opened a door for me. Yes. And think about all the young people right now who are struggling to get their first job. Like, I would really be honored if I could help somebody
Yeah.
open a door.
The other thing that I just thought about is what it's like to live our lives as coaches,
Mhm.
as mentors, because that comes with a different sort of awareness beyond self.
Mhm.
And it's an opportunity because I think I grow through my conversations with others, and I'm leading myself as I'm leading others. And I always remind myself, it's okay to be human, right? So I may not be perfect at it sometimes, and I do. I have multiple coaches that help me, but I also remind myself to drink the water I sell, right? Sometimes I forget that. So, how do you stay joyful and how do you stay self aware? What are some things that you do for yourself, Lori, personally, that, how you get your mojo back when you feel like you're
Mhm.
off a little bit, right? So, what are some things that matter to you?
So I invest in people, much like you do.
Mm.
So time, money, and presence. One of those people that's very special to me, she's been a mentor of mine for 18 years now. Anne, I talk about her on my podcast. She's going to turn 80 this year.
God bless her.
She's beloved. She's here locally with me. She runs workshops and retreats for women still to this day. So just 2 weeks ago, like I was at a vision boarding workshop that she led, and she just pours into me. She'll be on my podcast in the next couple of weeks. So I go see Anne, and Anne is just such a source of joy for me. Anne will also shoot me straight. She'll just set me straight. She'll be like, Lori, you just need to knock that off. And it's such a blessing, right? It's so
Oh,
refreshing because she's
yeah.
known me for 18 years. So I go to her vision boards, I go to her workshops, and she has this group of women that I've now known for maybe 15 years, and that community support too. So they've seen me through many iterations of myself. I have a couple of different coaches, I'm in a couple of different communities. That helps. And then recently, I'm really pushing myself to go into rooms that are much bigger than me. So I'm going to go to a conference in a couple of weeks, and I'm really nervous
Where are
because
you
the
going? Maybe I'll come.
I know. So I'm going to
Because
Nashville.
I can totally relate to what you're saying. And it is pushing to get into these different rooms, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a stretch. So I'm going to Nashville. I'm going to, this woman's leading it. It's a visibility accelerator for my brand, for my business.
Love it.
And so it's not only just for what I'm going to learn, but it's for the women who are going to be in the room, what they're doing in their businesses, and to learn about that. And then the second thing I've done is I've joined a community of coaches and consultants that has just a tremendous group of women in there. I've only been in it for a few weeks, and already I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm already being exposed to just thoughts and work streams and processes that just will elevate me. And
Yeah.
I want to elevate because what I really want to be able to do is to bring my thoughts to more people. I want to have an impact.
Yeah, and that maybe we'll do another show with visibility more as the conversation because again, I think that a lot of women struggle with that because we attach a different meaning to it. And at least maybe I'm speaking from my own experience, that the power of being visible is for the impact you can create,
That's
right?
right.
And it's about the lives you can connect with. It's not, and I get it. For some of us, some people are more introverted than others. So the idea of having the spotlight on you can bring up a lot of feelings. That part never bothered.
Me
But I
neither.
want people to, I feel like I need to explain the motivation. And then you realize, no, I don't have to explain anything. I
Yeah.
just have to live out my purpose and know that through the teaching, the coaching, the writing, that we're going to impact people. They're going to take what they need, when they hear it. And that to me is what drives me is that if I can, this podcast, right? If there's one person listening right now that feels blessed by it, inspired by it, changed by it, I did my job.
That's
And
right.
and that's what it's about. And the thing is too, understanding like you don't even know the ripple effect you have.
Yeah.
We've helped so many people that we'll never know. We'll never get that feedback. But there was something we did, something we said that helped one person and they went on to help other people. I mean, that's the beauty of it. That's the ripple effect.
And
So
it
that's
is.
why visibility is important. That's why, we have to, I love how you said, I'm pushing myself to be in those rooms. And I totally get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because it goes back to what you said about loneliness too, like being an entrepreneur, we have to be intentional about making those connections because we want to feel inspired, we want to feel supported, we want to feel encouraged, but then we have so much to learn from each other too. And why make it harder than it has to be? If you can learn what someone else has done,
Yeah.
you can follow in their footsteps.
Exactly. I think some of the women in corporate can be really lonely as well.
Oh, yeah.
It can be really isolating and lonely. And this work from home environment, this hybrid environment. So I think that loneliness is really at epidemic levels. The Surgeon General has really declared loneliness as
Hmm.
an epidemic. And
Hmm.
so when we get stuck in some of those cycles and ruts, it can really be hard to get out of. So the more we can come together and talk about it and to say it out loud,
Yeah.
and to say what we're doing to like be the antithesis of that is really important. And to say like you're not the only one feeling this. You're not alone.
Yes, exactly. And to know like you can we see each other, right? We see
Yes.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wished I had, or anything that you want to share? I have to be mindful of your time. I could talk to you for hours.
I know, I know, I know. That's like what it was like when we met for lunch.
Yes.
No, I think you're right. We probably need a part two on visibility because none of this is for my own glorification. It isn't about me and my joy. It's really about one person at a time finding their way back to their own joy and how important that really is, not just for me and my own mission, but really for the person and how it impacts their
Yes.
world and
Yeah.
everybody they touch.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe a part two on
Yeah, let's do
visibility.
it. I
Yeah.
think we should. Absolutely. And you mentioned your podcast, so tell everybody a little bit about your podcast.
Yes. So I started a podcast back in June. It's called The Joy CEO. It's on all of the platforms where you can find a podcast. And I really talk about leadership and ways to be a more joyful leadership. And that joy is not any sort of fluff, it is a real leadership strategy. I
Definitely.
do some interviews with successful executives who have really made it look like it's easy on paper, but
Yeah.
they give us behind the scenes the down low of what it really took to get to where they're at. So
Yeah.
some fun interviews.
That's awesome. And if somebody would like to learn more about you, Lori, or work with you, where can they find you?
Yes, my website is lauriepine.com and I'm on Instagram at Lori Pine and also on LinkedIn. I run a group coaching program called the Connect, where, ambitious women who want to come together to be seen and heard and to matter can join one of my cohorts. We're currently on a wait list and we will have our next group open in the spring. So would
Oh,
love to,
that's fabulous.
yeah, would
Good.
love to have you.
I would too. Yeah. So that's awesome. All right. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for being here. This was a great conversation. And then we are going to bring you another conversation with Anna and Lori. And I think having
Yay.
a conversation about visibility is important. So look for that. And I really appreciate all of you tuning in here every week. And I will see you in the next episode. Lori, thank you so much for being here.
My
I'll
pleasure.
see
Thank you
you.
so much.